Caught Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I'm Shane Matthews. My co-host JC is out on assignment today. We'll be joined here momentarily by Jeff Cardozo, former Gator pitcher, also analyst on the Gator Radio Network. Baseball, we're going to talk a lot of baseball today about the Gators' upcoming season. They crank up. First pitch is Friday, which is in a couple of days, against the Marshall Thundering Herd. Will be in town. So we're going to take your phone calls. You got any texts for Jeff? 352-353-7465 on the Titan MRI text line. Last night, if you missed it, the USA national softball team was in town. There's old Jeff rolling into the studio.
Rolling.
That was a finable offense if you were in the NFL, Jeff. You're late. But you have a good excuse.
Yeah.
You got to roll over here so we can get you on TV.
There we go. I didn't know that. I would have put makeup or something.
Yeah. This is Jeff Cardozo, folks.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody knows Jeff, former Gator pitcher, and he has multiple jobs with the Gator Radio Network. He's the host for the pregame show on the IMG for Gator football. And then are you considered play-by-play for baseball?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Play-by. Have you ever gone just a bit outside?
To mess around a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like a game gets out of control. Got to be able to goof off. And
yeah.
That's the thing about baseball. It's slower, so you can tell stories, have some fun, goof off with people.
Well, I know you have you do baseball. Does Mick do baseball anymore? Or is he
just the TV side?
Just the TV side. So you and Steve Russell do a great job with that. And as you mentioned, baseball can get slow at times, so you have to come up with some stories here and there. But Jeff, last night we were texting. We both were at the softball game, and I tell you what, we had Tim Walton on yesterday, and I thought that was just the beginning of the game was very cool to me. I mean, especially you get the best team in the world here in Gainesville, and three of them were Tim Walton's former players. Yeah. I just thought it was awesome.
Pretty special, and even for them to show that passion, how much they love Florida, because now they're playing for their country, but it meant so much for them to come back, be in that stadium. Of course, it's now redone, and everything that was involved with it. The crowd was certainly really good to them. But that's what Gator Nation's all about. I think that's the neatest part. And we actually had this discussion radio show yesterday. Some guy called up and he said, would you rather have a really good football team and be bad at every other sport, or be like just somewhat okay, not making the playoffs in football, but still be dominant just about in every other sport? And I think from a broadcaster side, you would probably say you'd rather be good at everything.
Right.
I know some fans would say, well, I want to be good at football because that's what rules the roost and everything. That's what it's all about. But I think that's what's neat about Florida, because we care about the fall so much and everything that's going on, but in my world, the spring is ridiculous. You get all these baseball games, softball, and then think about all the other stuff that's going on. As good as this tennis teams are and everybody else, it's a fun time to be around here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the University of Florida, as you mentioned, we're good in pretty much every sport. You look at Alabama; it's basically football. That's all they care about. But Jeremy Foley, Scott Strickland, they want to build the entire program and make it the best in the country. Let's talk about you. You also sit courtside. Before we get into baseball, which that's the main reason we brought you in today.
Sure.
And if you want to text any baseball questions or anything for Jeff, it's 353-7465 on the Titan MRI text line. You sit on courtside for basketball. The basketball team plays tonight at A&M, which to me, A&M, I think they're 5-5 or something like that in the league.
They can't score.
They can't score at all. We can't score either. Yeah. So, hell, it may be like 42-40. But the one thing that scares me about this game, our roster is better than theirs.
Sure.
But when you play a Buzz Williams coach team, they're going to get in your face. They're tough. They're going to rebound the basketball. And those are the teams, to me, that give us the most problems.
Yeah, you can't be soft. And Mike White has reiterated this time and time again, and I don't know if it's an issue with Mike just getting to the guys, being able to relate to them and have them just sort of click, but there's times where you look at it and look at the second half of Georgia. And I know at halftime he went in there and got on them a little bit, and they felt it, and they played with a passion, and they came back, and obviously they made shots, and that helps, but it's to me, defense is ruling the roost of this team, because actually if you look at the numbers, we actually score pretty decent. You look at a Noah Locke and you're thinking, well, that guy can't shoot, he can't do anything. He was actually shooting better this year than he is last year. It's a small percentage, but it's things like that. They're just not playing defense, in my opinion, because I don't know if they're tough. And I don't know, Shane, I mean, you know all about leadership and what that means and what it is. And we saw Kayvon being the man last year is supposedly be that leader, but we never really saw that leadership role on the court. And Nemhard's supposed to be that guy this year, and I don't know if you really get that passion out of him. He's not going to go into the huddle and get all up on you and push you around and like just get in somebody's face. It's just not the kind of personality they have. And so it's, the coach can only do so much, and I think it's got to be at some point in that locker room, because I see it in football. I see why they've gotten better, because there are guys that put an emphasis on that. I mean, heck, all those times we were winning, all the times you were probably winning, there was a guy or two that if something wasn't going right, they would make it known. And nowadays, I just don't know if there's enough players that do that. At least on this team, I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think from an athletic standpoint, from the defensive end, we're struggling because we aren't the quickest team around. Sure. And teams are just blowing right past us. Again, Jeff Cardozo from the Gator Radio Network. He also has his own radio show on WRUF, The Tailgate. How many years have you been doing The Tailgate now? Long time.
Over there, yeah, 4 or 5. I think radio overall, maybe 11 or 12, something like that. Yeah. Crazy.
He also runs the Ironwood Golf Course.
The real job, I call it.
Yeah, if you need him for a golf scramble, he's always a good guy to have. Last night, just talking about the SEC briefly, Tennessee blows out Arkansas. I think Arkansas, I don't want to say they're done, but one of their best players had knee surgery. Isaiah Joe, he's out. I don't know for the year or whatever, but they're struggling. Tennessee plays well at home. Kentucky comes from behind again to beat Vanderbilt 78-64. They outscored them 51-28 in the second half. LSU comes from behind at home to beat Missouri. And then the one game when I get home from the softball game, I turn on the Ole Miss Mississippi State game. It's a 1-point game at the half, and then Ole Miss outscores State 50-24 in the second half. And I tell you, they're a better team. I mean, we got blown out Saturday, but they're a better team than the record indicates. But I tell you, when you go on the road in the SEC in basketball, it's just so strange to me how hard it is to win.
It's extremely difficult. And Ole Miss has one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, Breanne Tyree.
So I think you got to give them credit for that. But they have now figured it out because Georgia's got Goose. I call him Anthony Edwards. But they can't win. But they turn the ball over a bunch, and they have a stud player. So you have to have compliments to that really good player, and I think Ole Miss is starting to figure that out. Remember, he was the coach of the year last year, so Kermit was. So he knows how to coach, he knows what to do, and I think those guys are really starting to figure it out. And Florida got it within 2 against them, and then just fell apart again. So it's trying to be able to sustain that. But yeah, you're right. It's going on the road is very difficult. This Saturday is going to be fun. You talk about that VA team.
Yeah.
You got to win that one. Obviously, you got to win tonight too. But go to A&M and win it. But these next 2 games are big to kind of get back in it.
Obviously, Florida's at A&M in the league. South Carolina's at Georgia, and then the one that's a lot of people are Alabama goes to Auburn after they handled Auburn in their place a while back. But like I said, you sit courtside for the basketball games. Big. Nobody's talking about it. But the court's getting named after Billy Donovan on Saturday.
Pretty special.
It is.
I get to see a rendering. It's going to be awesome.
So they have like his signature down like by the timeline on both sides?
No, it's actually going to be like right center court, right under the Gator, I believe, is what it's going to. So it's going to be special to bring him back and know what he meant, because that was, of course, the heyday of everything. And you walk into that practice facility, and that's where you give credit to Mike White, because Billy is that legend. It's like trying to follow a Spurrier or an Urban, that next guy. It's got to be really difficult, but Mike White's always welcomed it. He let the big Billy picture still be in that practice facility, and he's always understood what Billy Donovan has meant to this program. And I think everybody should come out and support it, of course, and really enjoy it. They're going to do it at halftime, which is good because I actually get to see it, because baseball starts this weekend, and it's a 4:00 game. I was like, it's 8:00. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, and all that. So it'll be nice to see and be a part of, and just know what he meant. And I mean, heck, that 6, 7, 8, 2000s were 3 years that Gator Nation will never get back. It's awesome.
No doubt about it. We got Jeff Cardozo in studio today. Again, if you got any texts, give us a text and we'll read them on the air here. Before we get to our first break, and then we'll start talking baseball. As I mentioned, you do the pregame show for football. You're the one that they send in to the locker room to do interviews that sometimes is good, sometimes bad. Just kind of give us, year 2 under Dan Mullen, your thoughts, what he's done, how he's changed the culture of the football program, and what it's like working for him.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I get the opportunity to do his coach's show every Thursday too, so that's been special. And just to, I think just get that extra time away from it all, and you see a guy that really cares and understands what it takes to be the coach at the University of Florida. I think he knows that he's got to do all the media stuff and the autographs and the pictures, but I mean, what you see with him with the fans is genuine, and I think that's the unique part about it. I mean, he really enjoys running around the stadium and high-fiving everybody. He enjoys bringing his kids around and making them a part of the program, and we probably see it at home too. I don't know if people can get in the stadium that quick, but on the road, we're actually in the booth doing the pregame shows. So when the team comes in, he goes out there with Cannon, he's throwing around the football for 20 minutes. So like it's game day. He's trying to get prepared, but he's out there playing catch with his son. Right. So I think that's the neat part that the Gator Nation should really appreciate out of him. And he's smart. I mean, I mean, that guy can call ball plays left and right and be able to just understand and look at things. And I think that's what's been neat about Kyle Trask, because he has prepared him enough to say, okay, here's what you got to do. Here's how you look at it. Okay, I'm not the fastest, or I don't have the greatest arm, but I'm going to be able to check into the right spots, find the right reads, and then and go about it and do things. So I think just from a whole program standpoint, he is the CEO, but he's still so involved,
right,
and all that stuff, and still being able to handle all that stuff. It's pretty fascinating. A couple times I've gotten to go into his office and we'll tape an interview or we'll do something that's he's got on the computer screen like we have here, and it's just play after play after play, and it's those cards he's getting ready. It's fascinating to look at because they're so ready for every little thing. And I think that was the bad part about looking at that Georgia game, because there was a plan. They weren't able to really get to it just because of the game flow, and only got 7 possessions. And I think that's the one I look back and I say, dang, because there was so much stuff that they were ready to do and just weren't able to really get it out there and do it.
Yeah, that's the one game I think as a coach and a player and a fan, you would love to go back and play again. But you brought up Kyle Trask, and I know Felipe was the starter. Unfortunately, he was injured, but Kyle was ready, got his shot, and has taken full advantage of it. But you've been pretty close to him because he's worked for you out at the golf course. Can you just talk a little bit about, how happy you are for him and what kind of kid he is?
Yeah, and when I get a lot of interns out there and do different things, and I get to interact with them. We got Jordan Roberts right now, so I give all the credit for the 3 home runs she hit opening weekend for softball, so that kind of stuff. But I don't try to talk about the sports because they're there to work and they do their job and stuff. But then we get to talk, and I think from my mindset, it's going back to just being with that passion and playing. Like for football especially, so like the examples for Kyle, like he wasn't playing, of course, yet, but it was always that, man, I want to get in there, I'm ready, I'm preparing, and I said, you're gonna get your shot. So then just always be ready to go when you get in there, because when you do, and we didn't know it was going to be Kentucky and he'd have a majority of the season, but it could have been late in the year where he's got 4 games. Well, don't tell me you can't go hard for 4 games. So if it's 12 games, if it's a whole season, it's like, how do you not go hard for 15 games? And how do you not prepare? How do you not be ready? And I think that's what I just at least try to tell a lot of these student athletes that I interact with now, because I think they take it for granted. Like they don't understand that it's going to be over. I mean, we all think that we're playing at the University of Florida, so we're going to be in the MLB or we're going to be in the NFL, and we're doing all these things, but it's really, really hard. Like 2% of the country gets to do that. So I think it was neat talking to him and hearing him say, I'm ready. And he was just always waiting for that opportunity, and he was going to take the advantage of that opportunity when he was able to get in there. But he was always a student of the game, tried really hard. I mean, you would go to some practices, you saw what he was able to do, and I mean, he looked good. But of course, I think it's difficult sometimes, because I've seen it with Sully in baseball, and it's happened, I'm sure, with Tim in softball. But when you have that stud recruit, or in Felipe's case, it was that 4-star that everybody wanted and everybody had to have, those guys are going to get those opportunities first. So you have to either have an injury or do something really, really special to overtake that guy. And it just happened to work out that happened, but he was ready for it, and I think I'm really proud of him for it.
We got a text here from Paul. He says, ask Dozo, how does he balance doing all the 33 jobs that he has?
Yeah, it's tough. I try to be better now with the calendar on the phone and make sure I do stuff.
Try to get organized a little bit.
Yeah, so which is never. I mean, I was Mr. Procrastinator growing up, and doing all that. But no, it's fun. I think you just the enjoyment of being around it all and still having that passion to do it, I think keeps you going. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have a job my real job at the golf course is 7 days a week. So it's a lot of working weekends or really early mornings or late nights to get some time in, but it allows the flexibility to be able to do it all. And, and I like being at the golf course on the weekends too, because, you get to interact with people more. And
right.
It's busy and you're there to help out, but no, it's fun. And then, I guess maybe the hardest job now is the 3 kids running around.
Yeah, no doubt.
You had to deal with that and the travel stuff and the cheer competitions. And I mean, it's
not easy.
It's not easy.
We're going to take our first time out here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. Jeff Cardozo, when we come back, we're going to talk the reason we brought this dude in. We're going to talk Gator baseball. We'll be right back.
Hey, time out. There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, masters of disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parrish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. That's Jeff Cardozo, Shane Matthews. Today's contest and yesterday's and all week, the contest question is brought to you by Cloud9 Spa. Cloud9 gift card is always the right size and it's calorie-free and never expires. This week's prize is a free massage at Cloud9 Spa. So simply go to the website, potupwithshane.com, fill out the contest tab and the more tab, and let us know why your wife, girlfriend, or partner should win this prize.
Ooh, that's a good one. No, I love Shannon's been great at Cloud9. She is tremendous, and they win the award every year for best massage. And so if you're looking for something Valentine's Day, they'll hook you up. Get that couples massage or just that stone one. Or do you do like manis and pedis?
I've never had a manicure or a pedicure in my life.
I know. I'm right there with you.
And I like my massages to hurt. So,
yes. Get hard.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk Gator baseball. They crank up Friday against the Marshall Thundering Herd rolling into town. Coming off a 34-26 season last year, kind of disappointing for the Gators. Still made the tournament. Well, first of all, tell us about Marshall. What can we expect from Marshall?
Well, I got to go to Lubbock, Texas, at least last year. So
how was that place?
It was
small college town.
Yeah, small college town, middle of nowhere. You flying in, it's just like nothing,
flat.
all, and then
flat.
all of a sudden you see a city. But they had all the chain stuff like we would do here in Gainesville, some breweries, which was nice and different. But yeah, it was weird because you're so used to postseason being at home and being a part of stuff. And I get the opportunity every year to take the family to Omaha, so it's always a great trip. So we had been 4 years in a row. So of course you don't go last year. So my daughter's 10 now. So basically she's been going since she was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
So like that's what she thinks like that's what you're supposed to do in the summer is every summer you get on the team plane, you go to Omaha and you do all this stuff.
So she was disappointed.
So this was like the first time she's like, Dad, we're not going to Omaha this year? I'm like, no, it's actually really hard. Like I went my freshman year as a player and then we never got to go back.
Yeah.
So you just, again, you talk about cherishing moments, like you just never know when it's not going to be there. So you have to do it. Yeah, Marshall's a team that's just, they're okay. I mean, just they shouldn't be able to handle the velocity that Florida's pitching staff has. They've got a couple guys in the middle lineup that can hit. Their Friday nights guys okay, just like everybody else. But, I mean, Florida should go out, play well, and win all 3 of these games this weekend.
Yeah, the Gators were picked preseason second in the conference behind Vanderbilt, your defending national champ, which I think they're loaded again this year. And Judd Fabian was a preseason all SEC pick. Talk a little bit about what you think the lineup may look like in the field and in the batting order.
Yeah, I think Judd's got a chance to be really good. And for those that don't know, Fabian should have been a senior in high school last year. So he's
from Ocala, right?
Yep, Ocala.
Yep.
So he came early. So this technically should be his freshman year, but he got an opportunity to come in and it just there's been a lot of really good center fielders at Florida defensively. We go back to Matt Dendecker, who's actually on the staff this year. He's a grad assistant, so which is really helpful. But then Buddy Reed, of course, Nick Horvath when they won the national championship. But Judd might be. There's so many times I'm sitting there watching a ball fly through the air, and you get that great perspective behind home plate. Oh, that ball's in the gap. I was like, holy crap, Fabian just ran that ball down. Like he gets such great jumps on balls. He's be able to do different things. So he's always been great defensively, but I think he's got an opportunity now. He led the team in stolen bases last year as a freshman. I think it was only 7, but he's fast and he's got some pop. So I think he'll be able to hit. Not sure where Sully's going to hit him yet. I think he's trying to tinker with it. Maybe even lead off, maybe 3-hole. But 4-hole, you're going to see a freshman. This kid out of Jacksonville, Nathan Hickey, has just torn it up. I was out there for a scrimmage a couple weeks ago. Dude hit one over the batter's eye in center field as a freshman. I'm like, holy cow.
Is he big?
He's big. So he got some pop. So you got to get him in the lineup. So whether or not he's going to DH or catch, but if he catches, then that forces Brady Smith, who was a catcher last year, to maybe go play some third base. So I think they've got a lot of work to do with these first couple of weeks, although you better figure it out quick because they go to Miami next weekend. So got to go down to Coral Gables. So this is a big weekend just to try to figure all that stuff out. You're going to move Corey Acton, who was at third base last year, you move him over to second base, which then allows Jacob Young, who was a freshman last year and did some really good things. Doesn't have a lot of pop, but he can hit, a lot of base hits, gritty guy. So you probably put him in right field. You got Langworthy back for his 18th year.
That's what I was going to say. Between him and Sofia Reynoso,
Yeah.
they've been here, I feel like, when I was playing.
Yeah, you always hear those. There's always those guys on the teams. Like you watch a basketball game or something, man, that guy's still on the team.
Right.
Or it's all the Colquitts always kicked for Tennessee,
exactly.
so you always hear that name. So it's going to be a better group, and for Acton and Kalilau, who's going to play first, those guys got a lot of experience last year as freshmen and be able to grind through the SEC. And Kalilau got to the point where I think, high school season's like 25 games. So these guys are trying to play 56 plus the postseason. I think they got tired. And when you're facing these really good arms in the SEC, I think you have to got to really pace yourselves. And I think those guys just went kind of balls to the wall all the time. And now they understand to protect their bodies and do different things through that length of the season. So it's going to be a really good lineup. And then the biggest surprise for everybody out there is Kirby McMullen. It's a guy, again, from Ocala. Your
He seems like he's been here a long time, too.
He's finally a senior.
Okay.
But he came in as a pitcher. And he was okay as a freshman, didn't pitch a lot as a sophomore. So then last year he would take batting practice and just kept hitting and hitting. And then Sully used him in pinch hit role probably 10 or 15 times. He got a game-winning double down the line in Florida State and just kept hitting. So all of a sudden he goes and hits this summer, plays on a summer ball team, and he came back and he's just still raking. So he might be the DH from day one. So it's a former pitcher that's a little guy, but he just barrels the ball up. And so now if you put him at DH, though, then that takes away a spot out of the field with Hickey and different things. So it's a good problem. But I think for the first time in a really long time, because even that 2017 team, it wasn't the greatest lineup. Like they couldn't hit a lot of moments. They had good stuff in the middle, but 1 through 9, this is going to be a legit lineup. And if you can figure out the pitching, a chance to be good.
Yeah, you talked about a couple of guys moving from, a position, whether it's catcher to third or from third to second or what. How difficult is that when those kids have probably been playing that one position their whole life in high school? How difficult is that to go from year to year in a different position?
Yeah, especially third to second because it's the double play is different, the side of the field's different, the ball coming off the bat's different. But these guys work so much and they take so many ground balls. So I think it's getting comfortable again with just finding that read off the bat. I think that's going to be the biggest question. And second base is probably easier than third. Like if you're going from second to third, I think that transition might be harder because the ball is just getting on you quicker. You got to have a really good arm. And then just the double play for Acton, I think, is going to be the key because now he's going to be working with a guy we haven't talked about yet. There's going to be a freshman.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up.
Short.
Talk about a couple of freshmen that may be in the starting lineup.
Yeah, so Pena is the shortstop, and he's done some really good things. They had also looked at Nick Blasucci, who was also a pitcher for a majority, but a two-way guy, and he transferred here. Got a little opportunity last year, but I think Pena just beat him out. And you may see Blasucci in and out of the lineup here and there if the freshman struggles. But it's going to be an infield that hopefully plays defense, because always all those years that Sully made it to Omaha, and it's 8 of the last 11 years been to Omaha, which is just insane. They've always been one of the best defensive teams in the country, and that slacked off a little bit last year. So as much as we talked about it with basketball, needing to play defense, I think it's the same for baseball because it helps you when you're a pitcher. Of course, the guy's making a great play behind you, and that's less guys on base. And now with the SEC and all these stupid bats and everything else, it's pretty ridiculous. So I hope the expectations aren't like what it is for basketball, because you have a really young team again, and Sully's really excited about it, and he doesn't. In the fall, he told me this freshman class is better than I thought it was going to be, and he never really talks like that. So I was like, oh, that must be pretty good then, because he's normally like, oh, we're going to struggle, it's going to take some time, that kind of stuff. So he was honest about it. I think he knows how good these guys are, and ended up being the #1 recruiting class in the country when Baseball America and D1 Baseball finalized their stuff. So that was a good thing. But now they have to be able to figure it out and be good, because I think one poll had them 14, which is probably about where they should be. But another
one had like 4. Right? Yeah.
So I don't want these guys thinking, oh, we're number 4 like basketball was, and we're really, really good. And just gotta pace yourselves and be good at the end.
Well, last year it seemed like we struggled on the mound. I think everyone knows that. And a Kevin O'Sullivan coached team has always played great defense and been able to pitch the baseball. When you look at the rotation this year, how do you see it playing out? And is the bullpen pretty strong?
Yeah, there's a lot of, as much as we talked about the guys on the offense and Cali Lau and Acton and some of those, and Fabian getting some at-bats as freshmen, there was a lot of guys that got inning as freshmen. So you had Nick Pogue, who's won the Sunday job. He's going to be the Sunday starter as a sophomore, at least to start the season. You've got Ben Specht, you got David Lucci, you got Christian Scott. So all those guys were freshmen last year, and they all looked really good. And I think that's a mental thing too, because like it's stupid, Shane. All these guys, they're 94, 95, 96. Like it's nothing. And it's amazing the velocity that these guys have. And Sully's got a freshman that's been 98. And he doesn't know where it's going yet, so he's got to figure that out. But once he does, he's got a chance to maybe be the best arm that Sully's ever had. So it's pretty impressive what this pitching staff can be. And then they've got a lefty in Hunter Barco out of Jacksonville who turned down a bunch of money to come to school. He's got a chance to, I think, maybe be a midweek starter to start, and then he could sneak into the rotation to get a lefty in there. So there's a lot of options there. But Tommy Mace, who's going to be the Friday night guy, and Jack Leftwich, the Saturday guy, and that's the way it was at the end of last year. They've got to be good, and I think they have an opportunity to be really good. Tommy Mace tried out for Team USA over the summer. He was one of the last cuts, so he almost made it. I love his mentality. I think my favorite player to ever be at Florida, at least from a broadcast standpoint, is Brady Singer, because he was that just MF you, pissed off kind of guy, get in your face, and had that mentality that you need. But Mace is there too, and I think he's really worked on his slider to develop a third pitch. There's some really good arms in this league. Like Georgia's Friday night guy is going to be a first rounder. LSU guy is a stud. Mississippi State's guy was a first rounder at a high school that turned down a bunch of money to come to school. So I don't know if Florida has that dominant, like Hudson Randall or Logan Shore or Brady Singer, guys that they've had on that Friday night to be the guy. So Mace just has to be able to stay with those guys, maybe give up 2 or 3 runs and be okay. And he's got a chance to throw some gems. And then Jack Leftwich, his changeup is extraordinary. It's one of the best ones that I've ever seen. So I think that's an opportunity for those 2 guys to be really, really good.
Speaking of Gator baseball, obviously this is the last year of McKeithen Stadium.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emotion throughout the entire year. Tell us a little bit about the new ballpark, what you've seen, what we can expect as fans.
I think for fans, that's what I'm most excited about because it's for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as good as the amenities are going to be for the players and the locker room and the different things underneath that they can hang out with and do all that. Like I think I'm so excited to be able to all the people that's come out to McKeithen Stadium over the last 30 years, and I've been a part of it for over 20. Like let's be honest, like those Sunday games are hot. Like you don't have that shade. It's 1:00, and I mean it's beaten down on the fans. So, and I think just the sight lines too. I think it's going to be awesome to have, like, I believe the seats are going to be right on the ground level behind home plate. Right now they're a little elevated, and it's going to be a different perspective. Things are going to be turned the right way. They're going to sell beer, so it's going to be good for fans. And so I think that's going to be the neatest part. And that's what the SEC has turned into, because you look at the East alone. South Carolina's got a beautiful stadium. Kentucky just built a brand new stadium. Vandy's kept adding on to theirs and what they've been able to do. And LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, you've seen those stadiums. Mm-hmm. That's probably it's not the nicest stadium, but Ole Miss's atmosphere it's
awesome.
Awesome.
It is.
I mean, they put those college kids in right field and let them throw the beer up in the air and enjoy it. And I hope that's what the Florida ballpark, this new stadium, gets to, because there's atmospheres out there that are much better than what Florida's is.
That's a lot, yeah.
And the kids love it.
Yeah. We actually got a text from the Titan MRI text line. It says, speaking of different stadiums, Fred wanted to know, Jeff, what's your favorite venue on the road?
Yeah, I think just from an atmosphere point, it's Ole Miss.
You like Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
They're both really good.
Mississippi State's new ballpark.
Well, I think So we were at Mississippi State last year or 2 years ago
when they haven't.
It was half done.
But you had been there before.
Correct. The old way. And
the old way I like better because they had the old trucks with the couches on the lifts and grills going.
And as a pitcher during batting practice, you have to go shag home run balls, and you hate it at every place you go to. But at Mississippi State, you want that job because you're out there, they're feeding you ribs and they're giving you all this food, and the fans are tremendous. But yeah, that's a really neat ballpark. I think I'm anxious to see it fully done because only the bottom level was done, so the top level they weren't using yet. But I was able to walk around and look at it all. I think it was such a bad experience. So it was 2 years ago. It was the end of the year. Florida already clinched the SEC championship, so we're in the stands basically because the press box wasn't done, and we're sitting there, and we win, or Mississippi State wins the first game, and so they get a little momentum, and Florida, they didn't need to win. Mississippi State had everything on the line. Remember, they made that run, and then they ended up getting to Omaha because of it, almost won it all. But first game was fine. I was talking to the guys in the stands and different things. Well, it was a different group the next day, and this lady was there. And I kid you not, she's like 65 years old. She's yelling the whole time at the umpire, and I mean, she's passionate. She's into it. And she turns around and she's like pointing at us, like when they're scoring runs. I'm like, man, like we're just talking here, man. Like we don't have a part of things. So then Sunday they win again, so they sweep us. She turns around, she's like cussing, and like we're trying to do like stuff post game, and you can just hear all this stuff flying. Like they're passionate, they're really into it, and they love it. But I think from my favorite just overall stadium and being a part of it, South Carolina. I really love that stadium, and you got the backdrop, kind of what Camden Yards is. You got downtown Columbia there, and looks really beautiful. But there's so many great yards. LSU's fans are obnoxious, so I don't really like that. So there's good stories about that ballpark too. So.
I'm sure. Well, we're going to take our second time out here on the program. We have Jeff Cardozo. We got some more texts that came in. If you got a text for him asking anything about Gator baseball, give us a shout. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, Masters of Disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Jeff Cardozo, Shane Matthews here today. JC on assignment. Today's play of the day, we don't have a shot of it, but it happened last night at KDC Shoal Presley Stadium. Kendall Linneman hit a bomb off the scoreboard. And today's play of the day is brought to you by the best restoration, whether flood, fire, or Mother Nature call, the Masters of Disaster today. So, yeah, she can hit the softball.
Yeah, she certainly
a long
can.
ways.
And they're going to need to have some offense this year with
Absolutely.
the way that pitching is. So it's good. And I think he's had to change the way that he's recruited and going about things. But I think it's still be an exciting year for them.
We have a text here on the Titan MRI text line. It's from Frank. He asked Jeff, what's your favorite moment at McKeithen as a player and then one as a broadcaster?
Pretty easy. Well, let me give you two as a player. One's a non-game moment, and then the other's is certainly a game moment. So I had the opportunity, which I guess you're going to have Brad on tomorrow, Brad Wilkerson.
Yeah, Brad Wilkerson, former Gator, won the Golden Spikes Award.
Yeah.
Will be joining the program tomorrow.
So this is a Wilkie story. So, the O-Dome's right there behind left field, and there was a country music star, and I can't remember who it was, and they were coming to perform in the O-Dome like one night back when we were playing. This was 98, 97, somewhere in there.
Too bad they don't have concerts in there anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's tremendous. So many good memories. But the bus was parked behind left field, and so everybody during batting practice is trying to hit the bus because that was the goal for all these guys to see them as many. And really nobody can do it. They're either hitting it too far or too far left and right and all this other stuff. So Wilkie's a left-handed hitter. So he's used to hitting bombs, and they're going way over the street in right field. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to turn around. I'm going to try to hit right-handed. So he turns around, hits a bomb right-handed, and he's the first one to hit this bus when no one else could do it. And that wasn't even his normal natural thing, but that's just how great of an athlete he was. He's a tremendous golfer. He's like a scratch golfer and all these things that he can do. But
and he doesn't look athletic.
No. And honestly, and I hopefully
I know that sounds terrible, but it's true.
The first, because I'm coming to Florida. He was a freshman in '96. I come in '97, and I walk in the locker room, and I'd only seen him on TV, and then I see him for the first time, and I look at him, I was like, that's Brad Wilkerson? It's kind of like a short, little pudgy guy, and how is he so good? But he's obviously the best that's ever done it in a Gator uniform. So, and it's been awesome playing with him, and obviously working with him over the years has been really, really fun. So that's the practice moment. I think the '98 year, that was when there was no super regionals yet, so it was a 6-team regional, and you had to go out and obviously compete a bunch of different things, and we're trying to go to Omaha, and we have a come from behind walk-off victory. Derek Nicholson hits a double into the gap, and we end up scoring to go to Omaha. So I think that's a moment that I'll never forget as a player. And then as a broadcaster, the couple years ago when Langworthy hits the ball off the guy's glove in right field, and I'm getting to do the call for it, and it just it hops over the wall, and you just see those Auburn guys just put their heads down and start crying.
2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's been a lot of really fun moments, and of course not at McKeithen Stadium, but winning that national title, and Mick was doing the broadcast, and that was his last year doing it, and I think we'd kind of known and talked about this was going to be it for him no matter what, and to be able to win that, and so he's now called national champions for football, baseball, basketball. He's the only guy in the country to do that.
Oh, wow.
So
I never thought about
pretty
that.
special for him. But he's doing his thing at the end, and I try to talk, and I'm tearing up, and he starts tearing up, and we're like crying on the radio. It's it's a moment I'll never forget.
Good deal. We got a text here from Jackson. He wants to get Jeff's thoughts on the Astros cheating scandal,
It's tough.
especially you as a pitcher.
Yeah, well, it's just you feel for guys like you, Darvish, and there's I forget the guy's name, but there's a guy suing the Astros because he during that time, I think he threw a third of an inning, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, walked 3 guys, and he got cut after that, and he's never been on a big league team again. So all of a sudden, this guy loses his job. So he's like, well, if they wouldn't have had the signs, I wouldn't have been that bad. Well, no, you shouldn't have walked 3 guys to help be a part of that. I would have been fine with everything, like banging on trash cans and clapping and using names. All that's fine to me. If you're getting that sign from a coach, or you're figuring out maybe if the catcher's sticking it too low and you can see it, like that's just part of the game. But when you have some intern dude that's sitting there on a video monitor, and then all of a sudden at the last second he's able to get the sign sequence, and then you're buzzing a guy at home plate, then that's wrong. Like that's a little bit too much. If you would have done it naturally, I mean that's something that's gone on for many, many years. So you feel for a Clayton Kershaw who was really good, and he was actually pitching pretty good that postseason, but they had his signs at one time when he came in the game and obviously teed off on him, and he doesn't. He's I think of this era, maybe the best pitcher out there, and he doesn't have that World Series ring yet. So I think they took it a little bit too far, and. I just the players probably should have gotten some repercussions for it, but they were able to make a deal and a plea bargain and say, hey, if we tattle, then we don't have to do it. But I think everybody's coming out now and saying probably we shouldn't have done it. But when you're in the heat of the moment and you're winning games and trying to win it all, I think that's they just felt it was a part of it, and that's what they were going to do.
Yep. Jeff Cardozo, Shane Matthews from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. If you got a text for Jeff, give us a call or a text on the Titan MRI text line. We got one right here. It says, Jeff, you have had interviews. You have interviewed all coaches. What are the differences in each of them, like Mullen, White, Sully?
I think the more comfortable you get with them, the more
they open
honest they are, and you're able to open up, which is neat. And I think the coaches show for Mullen, I think the role there is like we talk X's and O's all the time, and that's what the job is for those media guys on Monday to break down plays and hey, what'd you do here and what all that kind of stuff. So I think the stuff that I like is what you and I get into doing, like 2 buddies just hanging out and talking. I think that's been the neatest part about all that. Like I don't get to do a ton of interviews with hey, I'm like grinding you on why'd you screw up on that 2nd and 10, why'd you call that play. It's like I think it's just more bringing out their personalities. And the neat part that I've been able to do over the last 3 years now is MC the UF Hall of Fame inductions. And it's just like this. Like we're sitting in 2 chairs and basically going back and forth, kind of shooting the what with them, and just exploring that and bringing that stuff out. Because every athlete, every coach is so unique with different personalities. Like I love talking to Mouse Holloway. Not about track stuff, but what he does to
He's a great bowler.
Prepare these guys. Yeah, great bowler. Yeah, I mean, so I think the neatest part too is we were talking to Tim Walton, and Sully is the same way. And I always ask him this question. Hey, you're at the top of everything right now. You like things are really, really good. You guys just won national championships. You win the SEC. It seems like every year, but what do you change, or what are you learning? Like what are some of these things that you're trying to figure out? And Walton gave the best answer. He says, I'm learning something every year. I'll go and I'll look at one team and see what they do. And I'm like, man, we got to incorporate that some way, somehow, because you're not always going to have the same type of players to be able to do different things, and you got to adapt. And I think with Mullen, I think that's what you've really seen, because guys change in and out. I mean, heck, they had a plan for Felipe, and then he had to really change everything that he was doing, and he figured it out and was able to work. So think that's the neatest part about getting to do the interviews is just finding their personality, see what makes them work. I mean, even McElwain, like you go back to him, I think for Jim McElwain, and I told him this after he left. I said, Coach, if you were the way to me that you were to, or if you were the way you were with me to everybody else, like people would have loved you around here. I mean, he loved to just kind of sit back and talk about golf and drink a beer and burgers and just like a dude's dude.
Yeah.
But he never really portrayed that. I don't think he ever really got comfortable with doing that stuff in Gainesville. And I think he was a smart guy too. Like he knew how to call plays and do different things, and it just never really worked out. And Muschamp kind of the same. Muschamp was tremendous.
Great guy.
I mean, he walked in. We were doing a radio game in South Carolina several years ago. I'm sitting there calling the thing, and he walks right up and just wails in the back. I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's Muschamp. And then he sat down and he did radio for 3 innings during a baseball game talking. So I think that's probably the neatest part is, we all see these coaches as like, oh my gosh, it's Dan Mullen or it's so-and-so. But majority of them are just normal.
They're normal guys.
Dudes like you and I. They like to have fun. They like to. Tim Walton kicks my ass in cornhole every time we see each other.
He's very good at it.
So it's just that's the neat part, getting to be around all that.
We got a Facebook Live from Kevin. He says, Shane, where do you think Jake Fromm goes in the draft? You can chime in too. I see him like a 3rd, 4th, 5th rounder. I know a lot of people have him higher than that. For whatever reason, I think he was a really good college quarterback. But he's not a guy that, in my opinion, is going to be an NFL starter. I just don't see it. I compare him to Aaron Murray, and Aaron Murray, I think, is the all-time leading passer in the SEC, and he couldn't even make an NFL roster. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think 4th or 5th round is my guess.
Yeah, and Aaron Murray was bad in the XFL the other day. A couple of picks that really bad.
What'd you think about
first
that?
One. Interesting.
I like the new rules.
Yeah, the rules are fun, and it's neat here in the.
That's my favorite part.
You get to see what they're going through.
That is my favorite part of it.
And ticket prices actually went up for week 2. Like you have to. I think the Washington game is like $107 for a ticket.
Really?
I'm like, I hope you're getting like in a lounger
because they won a game. They upped the price.
Yeah, it was more than Redskins tickets.
That's
so I'm the same with you. I'm glad that he's gone because he beat Florida so much. So get out of here. Like if you think you're going to be a first rounder, fine. I'm glad that's the thing. But yeah, just a serviceable guy. Like I don't think he'll ever be a legit starter at the next level. But I mean, he was good enough for that offense and made it work. And I think he makes right decisions. And he's a former baseball player, so obviously he's a great athlete because baseball players are the best athletes. So he'll be okay. But I'm thinking the same 3rd, 4th round
somewhere around there. Before we let you go here, Jeff, we only got about 5 or 6 more minutes. Let's talk real quick about the SEC. Obviously, Vanderbilt is the team to beat. What makes the Vandy boys so good? It's just the program that they've built?
Yeah, Tim Corbin's done a really good job, and he and Sully are really close. They were assistants at Clemson together. But Corbin's been able to, I don't know if you can say manipulate the system, but they sort of have a different advantage. And they can do it in football and basketball. I'm surprised that they don't, maybe just because they get full rides as it is. But in baseball, you only get 11.7 scholarships.
Right.
So you have to be really careful with all that stuff. But with Vandy, in their rules, you can bring in a Shane Matthews on an academic scholarship and give him like a full ride. So they're able to, I think, get better players from that standpoint. And he's obviously a machine now, getting all these stud pitchers to come in. Kumar Rocker was the guy that the Omaha last year was really good. And
that whole story is funny to me because when you look at his dad, Tracy Rocker, big defensive lineman, here's his kid who's a big dude pitching.
It is. But it's that's what it is. You get that. I mean, that's pitching and strength right there in that legs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got that, of course, and that really helps him. So Vandy's going to be really, really good. LSU will be good again. Mississippi State should be back and be really good, but I'm so glad that Jake Mangum's out of there.
Well, it's interesting because Jake Mangum, his dad, John Mangum, was a teammate of mine for about 6 years with the Bears, so very close. He's a Mississippi guy. I'm a Mississippi guy. My daughter and Jake, when we were at the Bears, they were like 4 or 5 years old. They used to hang out and play together. Well, they ended up going to college together at Mississippi State. Little did we know. But, yeah, I know a lot of people hated Jake Mangum. but he was a player. I mean,
So
the dude
good.
could play.
He's one of those guys, and I think we see it with a lot of different people. Like, if he's on your team, he's the
You
best
love him.
teammate ever, love him to death. And if he's not, you just despise the guy. But he was so good. And he played with that passion and aggressiveness. And, it's what I preach all the time for Florida. But, like, he would hit a double in the gap or steal a base, and he's, like, pumping his fist and you son of a gun. Like, you just hate him, but that's perfect. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So it's great. I guess we got a guy.
Yeah, some guy named Lamar Thomas says baseball players are athletes.
Lamar, you know that too. We went back and Lamar's great. His little brother works for me at the golf course, and
He's a better athlete than Lamar, right?
yes, way better than Lamar, especially a golfer too.
Well, no question about that.
But no, I love seeing Lamar every time he's back in town. I hope maybe you can sneak in to somehow do some work around here. That would be phenomenal. And then I guess another guy said, Kevin said, "Go Braves!" Yeah, Braves getting ready to get going. Pitchers and catchers reported. So yeah, we'll see if the Braves can do it. But Dodgers are loaded this year, so it'll be tough.
Yeah, baseball's it's pretty much the Yankees and the Dodgers, right? The other teams don't have a chance. However, your Rays and the A's, they're going to be in the mix somehow, even though they don't pay all this money for these players.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Kevin Cash too. It's he ended up marrying a girl from Gainesville, so that's kind of cool little relationship there. But it's Kevin and I played against each other. He went to Florida State while I was here at Florida, so you hated him at the time, but he's done some great things down there. A great guy, and he's 40 years old, so he's relating to those players really well and knows how to handle it. And for what he's been able to do with that roster, it's been pretty awesome.
Jack sends a text here on the Titan MRI text line. Jeff, can you briefly talk about how difficult it is to travel in college baseball?
Yeah. It's really hard because you're leaving on a Thursday for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. And fortunate, when I played, we had the Captain Jacks. We had a plane. We were coming back.
Why do they not have that anymore?
I think it turned into a cargo plane because you felt like you were going to die every time you were on it. I mean, there would be. You can ask Wilkie stories about Captain Jack, but I mean, there'd be guys like throwing up on the back of the plane because it drops like 3,000 feet all of a sudden out of nowhere, and so it's a little scary. But it was nice because you get back that right away, and you're flying into Gainesville. Right. And then when I first started doing the broadcast stuff, we were flying commercial. So let's just say you're in Starkville, and then you've got to fly into Jacksonville or Orlando, and then you're bussing back from there. So you're getting back at midnight, 1 in the morning, and then these kids have to be at class at 7 a.m. because you got to take the early classes for practice and games. I think that's a little hard. Fortunate enough, we've been able to charter the last couple of years, so it makes it a little easier, kind of like having that plane again. But no, I think it's the hardest there is because with basketball and football, those trips are easy. You fly up.
Football definitely.
Fly back after the game. Basketball is the same, so that makes it more. But yeah, for softball and baseball and some of these tennis teams and track and different stuff, it's difficult for sure. Trying to be that student athlete, get to class, do all the right things, and then go compete at the highest level.
So how many of these kids? Because when you go on these 3-day trips or whatever, do they actually bring their backpack?
There's
with
a few.
books?
Yeah,
Just a few.
You can tell who the studious ones are. Like, and you're just like, I'll turn around, look on the bus, or you go back and walk around because it's a long 5 or 6 hour bus ride. I was like, hey, that's sweet. That dude's got a book open. Proud of
Interesting.
For doing that. But mostly are watching Netflix or doing their thing.
Right. Don't forget, folks. Saturday against Vanderbilt, Billy Donovan Court will be named. I'm anxious to check that out. Should be a tremendous. Well, they must be on their the Thunder. Are they here on the East Coast?
I think they just have a break.
So they figured out a day to come in.
Be able to fly them in.
So hopefully we'll have some of his former players on maybe Friday, talk a little bit about Billy Donovan, what he did here at the University of Florida. In my opinion, is one of the greatest accomplishments ever. Because, I mean, whoever thought Florida could do what he did in basketball?
It took some time, but he got Mike Miller from South Dakota, and then it erupted from there.
Yeah, that was his first big-time recruit.
That was it. That's kind of what changed it. And then, of course, we look at all the different things that happened. But so many great guys: Brett Nelson, Teddy Dupay. I mean, Lil Irvin Walker. So many guys have, that didn't really make the next level. And then, of course, all the ones that did. It's fun, and you see it too now in the NBA when Horford's playing them or Noah, and they go up and give Coach Donovan a big old hug, and they show that highlight and different things. It's just like softball players coming back and being that with Tim. Like, once you're here at the University of Florida and you have such an appreciation, like to me, Andy Lopez was like a second dad. Like all the life lessons he taught me, and that's what's great that all these coaches are doing because you're forming relationships now with guys that are going to be in your weddings, and all these different things. So it's fun, and to give back to the coaches like that, I think everybody should appreciate what Billy Donovan did here.
No doubt about it. Well, that's going to do it for our show today. I appreciate Jeff Cardozo coming in. Check him out on the tailgate at WRUF, and you'll hear him anytime a Gator sporting event is going on. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. A vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call Wrap Spot today. We'll see you tomorrow.